Hey everyone, Jack here. Today we're tackling making appointments in English.
It's a super useful skill, no matter what your level is.
I'm excited to have Elena with us. She's great at breaking down language.
Happy to be here. Let's dive into some common phrases.
We watched a few videos, and there was this simple dialogue about booking a haircut, great for beginners.
Oh, yeah.
It went like this. I want to make an appointment. Can I book a time for tomorrow? Is 10 a.m. okay?
Perfect example of how clear these conversations can be.
Yeah, with just a few phrases, you're good to go.
Absolutely.
And it seems easy to practice those phrases too.
For sure.
Maybe even try it out with a friend,
That's a great idea.
like pretend to make a coffee date or something.
Exactly. And sometimes, remember, you might need to book in advance.
Right, like weeks or even months ahead.
Especially for popular things. Gotta plan ahead.
Makes sense? The videos also mention some cool phrases for that, like pencil me in.
Well, pencil me in. That's a good one.
That sounds so casual.
Yeah, it means like tentatively scheduling something.
I love it. Another one I learned was booked solid.
Ah, that's a classic.
No free time at all.
Like trying to get a hotel room during the holidays?
Impossible.
Yeah.
So better book early to avoid that disappointment.
You got it.
One of the videos really impressed me. It showed all these different types of appointments.
Oh, yeah. Like what?
Doctor's appointments, haircuts, even business meetings.
Wow, a whole range.
It seemed like each one had specific phrases to use.
That's true. But no matter the situation, being polite and specific is key.
I saw a good example about calling for a doctor's appointment.
Okay, what did they say?
They explained why they needed to see the doctor, gave their available days and times, and even asked what to do if their preferred time wasn't open.
That covers all the bases.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I also saw how to reschedule an appointment, like if you had to work late.
Oh, yeah, rescheduling is important to know.
They used phrases like, I need to reschedule, and is there any availability?
Perfect. Being flexible and offering alternatives is always appreciated.
One thing that stood out was how the video talked about cultural differences, too.
That's so important to be aware of.
Like how being on time is super important in English-speaking countries.
It shows respect for the other person's time.
There was even a tip about sending a thank you note after a business meeting.
That's a nice touch. A little gesture can go a long way.
I loved that detail. It seems like anyone can pick up these basics quickly.
Even if you're just starting to learn English.
With a bit of practice, you'll be making appointments like a pro.
Absolutely. Just find opportunities to use the phrases.
Yeah, like what?
Even something as simple as ordering coffee.
Okay, like, I'd like to order a latte, please.
Exactly. Using those polite phrases will make you sound more natural.
And more confident.
For sure. As you get more comfortable, you can try different phrases too.
Like, instead of just saying, I want to make an appointment, what else could you say?
You could try, I'd like to schedule an appointment, please.
That does sound more professional.
It does, right. And did you notice how the videos explain the difference between arrange an appointment and book an appointment?
Oh, yeah. I hadn't really thought about that before.
So interesting, right? What did you learn about that?
Well, it seems like arrange is a bit more formal.
Yeah,
Like when you're setting something up with someone you don't know well,
that makes sense.
while book feels more casual, like for a haircut.
I got it.
And then there's make an appointment, which seems fine for most situations.
Yeah, it's good to have options.
The main thing is to understand the nuances and choose what fits,
Right. It's about communicating clearly and effectively.
and showing that you respect the other person's time.
That's key in any interaction.
One video even had a funny bit about people who are always late,
Oh, those are the worst.
but it gave tips on handling those situations politely.
Like what?
If you're waiting, you could send a quick message like, hey, just checking in. Are you still on for an appointment?
That's a good way to be polite, but also remind them.
And if they're really late, maybe give them a call.
And if you need to reschedule, you can do that politely too.
It's all about being understanding and finding a solution.
Right. A little kindness goes a long way.
I think the biggest takeaway for me is that practice is key.
Absolutely. The more you use these phrases in real life, the better you'll become.
Don't be afraid to make mistakes. It's part of learning.
Everyone starts somewhere.
So keep practicing, keep learning, and you'll master making appointments in English.
You got this.
Now that we've got some basic phrases down, let's look at some specific situations.
Great idea. How about we start with the doctor's appointments? Those can sometimes be tricky.
Yeah, especially if you're not feeling well.
Right. It's good to be prepared and know what to say.
I remember one video had a good example. It started with, hello, I'd like to make an appointment with doctor's name, please.
That's a good, clear start.
And then the receptionist might ask, what's the reason for your appointment?
Right, and that's where you need to explain your symptoms.
Be specific.
Instead of just saying, I'm not feeling well, try to describe what's wrong.
Give them
It's
details.
like, I've had a headache for a few days, or I have a sore throat and a cough,
That helps them understand the situation better.
and decide how urgent it is.
Then they'll probably ask about your availability.
Yeah, like when are you available to come in?
And it helps to be flexible.
Offer a few different days and times that work for you.
That way they're more likely to find a slot.
If they don't have anything right away, you can always ask about their cancellation list.
Oh, that's a good tip.
Sometimes appointments open up unexpectedly.
And if you need to reschedule, make sure to call as soon as possible.
Be polite about it.
Explain why you need to reschedule and suggest other times. And always confirm the new appointment details before ending the call.
That's important. Avoid any confusion.
So we've covered doctor's appointments. Now what about haircuts?
Those are usually a bit easier.
But there are still some key phrases to remember.
What are some of the things that come to mind?
Well, when you call, you could start with, "Hello, I'd like to book a haircut, please."
That's a nice, simple start.
Then they might ask if you want to see a specific stylist.
If you have a preference, mention their name.
If not, you can just say, "No preference."
And then they'll likely ask about your availability.
Offer some options, just like with doctor's appointments.
Right. Being flexible is key.
And if you want any special services, like highlights, mention those too.
So they can book enough time.
Don't forget to confirm the price before ending the call.
That's always a good idea.
Okay, we've done doctor's appointments and haircuts.
What's next?
How about business meetings?
Those can be a bit more formal.
But the main ideas are the same. Be clear, polite, and respectful.
What are some phrases that can help in that setting?
I remember one video suggested saying, "I'd like to schedule a meeting to discuss topic."
Ah, that's a good one. Straight to the point.
Sets the stage for the meeting.
Then offer a few suggestions for times and dates.
And mention how long you think the meeting will take.
If you need to reschedule, do it early and offer alternatives.
And always send a follow-up email afterwards.
To thank everyone and summarize any decisions?
It's a professional touch.
It is.
We've covered a lot today.
We have all sorts of appointments.
Key phrases, cultural tips, you name it.
But the biggest takeaway, practice, practice, practice.
The more you use these phrases, the more confident you'll become.
It's all about getting out there and trying.
And don't be afraid to make mistakes. That's part of the process.
Exactly. Everyone makes mistakes.
So keep learning, keep practicing, and you'll master making appointments in English in no time.
You got this.
And remember, making appointments doesn't have to be stressful.
It's a chance to practice your English and connect with others.
So go out there and make those appointments confidently.
You can do it. And remember, the person you're talking to usually wants to help.
They want you to succeed in booking that appointment.
So just take a deep breath, smile, and do your best.
Great advice. It's funny how making an appointment can feel like a challenge when you're learning a new language.
I know, right? But it's also so rewarding when you realize you can do it.
It definitely boosts your confidence.
And opens up more ways to communicate.
Thinking back on those videos, I'm struck by how much they emphasize being polite.
Oh yeah, politeness is huge in English-speaking cultures.
It's not just the words you use, it's your tone and how you act.
Using please and thank you goes a long way.
Even if you make a mistake, a simple apology can smooth things over,
It's all about showing respect.
which is something that goes beyond language.
Absolutely.
You know, sometimes the simplest things can be the most important.
Like what?
Saying hello with a smile.
Or holding the door open for someone.
Those little acts of kindness can really make a difference.
And they can lead to more meaningful connections. As we wrap up our chat about making appointments in English, let me leave you with this.
Okay, what's that?
Don't be afraid to just try and practice your skills.
Even if it's something small, like ordering coffee or asking for directions.
The more you use English, the more confident you'll become.
And who knows, you might even make some new friends along the way.
That's the beauty of language. It brings people together.
Keep learning, keep practicing, and keep exploring the world of English.
We've loved sharing these tips with you.
Thanks for joining us on this journey of how to make appointments in English.
Happy learning, everyone.
Those small things can really change how a conversation goes. We were talking about different types of appointments. Let's dive into doctor's appointments first.
Okay, yeah.
They can be a bit nerve-wracking, especially if you're not feeling well.
I know what you mean. It's important to know how to explain your symptoms clearly.
The videos we watched gave some good examples of how to handle those conversations.
They did. Communicating with the receptionist and the doctor is key.
I remember one video suggested starting with something like, Hello, I'd like to make an appointment with doctor's name, please.
Right, that's a good way to start.
Simple, but it gets the point across.
It does. Then they'll probably ask for more information.
Like why you need the appointment.
Exactly.
And being able to explain your symptoms clearly makes a big difference.
It really does. Instead of just saying, I don't feel well, it's better to give specifics.
Oh, right. Like what kind of specifics?
You could say, I've had a headache for a few days, or I'm experiencing a sore throat and a cough.
Ah, so the doctor knows what's going on.
And they can assess how urgent it is.
Then they'll probably ask about your availability.
Yeah, they'll usually ask something like, when are you free to come in?
And it helps be flexible, right?
It does. Offer a few different days and times that could work.
Increases the chances of finding a spot.
Exactly. And if the doctor is fully booked, don't be afraid to ask about their cancellation list.
Oh, that's a good point.
Sometimes things open up unexpectedly.
Makes sense.
Eh.
We should also talk about rescheduling appointments.
Yes, because sometimes life gets in the way.
If you need to change your appointment time, how should you handle that?
Well, the most important thing is to be polite and give them a heads up as soon as you can.
Okay, what could you say?
Something like, unfortunately, I need to reschedule my appointment due to a prior commitment. Could we find another time that works?
That sounds much better than just saying, I can't make it,
It does. It shows that you value their time.
and helps maintain that good relationship.
Exactly. Oh, and don't forget to confirm the new appointment details before you end the call.
Right, just to make sure everyone's on the same page.
Exactly. Now, how about we switch gears and talk about haircut appointments?
Okay, those usually seem a bit less complicated.
They do, but there's still some specific etiquette involved.
What are some key phrases to remember when booking a haircut?
When you call the salon, you can start with, "Hi, I'd like to book a haircut, please."
Simple and direct.
They might ask if you have a preference for a specific stylist.
If you do, make sure to mention their name.
And if not, you can just say, "No preference."
Easy enough.
Yeah.
Then they'll probably ask about your availability and offer you some time slots.
Yeah, just like with doctor's appointments, it's helpful to be flexible with your schedule.
What if you want more than just a haircut? Like, what if you need highlights too?
That's a good point. If you need
Right.
any extra services, make sure to tell them when you book.
So they can set aside enough time.
That's right. And always confirm the price before you hang up.
No surprises later.
Exactly. Okay, now for our last type of appointment. Business meetings.
Okay, those can be a bit more formal than the other types we've talked about.
They can be, but clear communication is still key.
So how do you navigate a business meeting in English?
Well, one of the videos we watched suggested starting by stating the purpose of the meeting clearly.
Oh, okay. Like how?
You could say something like, I'd like to schedule a meeting to discuss topic.
That helps set the context.
It does. And then you can offer some suggestions for dates and times,
And be sure to mention how long you think the meeting will take.
so everyone can plan accordingly. And if you need to reschedule, same as before, be prompt and courteous.
Offer those alternative times and explain the reason for the change.
You got it. And in a business context, it's always a good idea to send a follow-up email after the meeting.
Oh, that's a good point. What should you include in that email?
Just thank everyone for their time, briefly summarize any decisions that were made, and outline any next steps.
It's a nice professional touch.
It is. Well, we've covered a lot of ground today.
We have, from casual haircuts to those more formal business meetings.
It's amazing how many different situations we encounter where making appointments is important.
And in English, it's all about combining those practical phrases with cultural awareness.
You said it. Being mindful of other people's time and understanding the nuances of politeness.
It all adds up to more effective communication.
It really does. And the more you practice, the easier it becomes.
So it's not just about booking appointments, it's about becoming a more confident communicator overall.
That's the goal.
It's amazing how practicing those small things can help build confidence. We've talked about so many different scenarios for making appointments.
We have, from casual to formal, it's been a great journey.
One thing that stuck with me was that thank you note after a business meeting.
Oh, yeah. I like that tip, too.
Such a small gesture, but it can make a big difference.
Shows you appreciate the other person's time and effort.
It's like building a connection, going beyond just the words.
And in English-speaking cultures, those little gestures are really appreciated.
It all goes back to communication being more than just the words themselves.
It's being mindful of the other person, their culture, everything.
Learning a new language is so fascinating because of that.
It's not just the grammar, it's understanding the people, too.
So as we wrap up our conversation about making appointments in English, What's the one thing you want our listeners to remember?
Don't be afraid to practice. That's the most important thing.
Get out there and use your English no matter what level you're at.
Even if it's just a small interaction, it all helps.
Ordering coffee, asking for directions, it all builds confidence.
Exactly. Celebrate every little success.
And remember, mistakes are part of the learning process.
Everyone makes them. Don't let them hold you back.
So to everyone out there learning English, keep practicing, keep learning, and keep making those appointments.
You've got this. It's been a pleasure sharing these tips with you all.
Thanks for joining us on this journey of exploring how to make appointments in English.
We hope you learned something new today.
Until next time, happy learning.
Happy learning.